Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And in today's video, I'm going to be starting a new series. This is going to be 10 bottles at a time of my entire collection. So I'm going to try to catalog every bottle that I've got in a playlist, and then I'm going to be doing them in segments of 10 bottles at a time, and somewhat trying to do it in chronological order of when I started collecting, and kind of taking a trip down memory lane for myself and kind of sharing my fragrance journey with you. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into it with the first fragrance that I bought. First spray-on fragrance. I started my journey with tar oils. I don't have any of those anymore. I might do a separate video on the house that I was using for tar oils before I really got into perfume, but this was the first fragrance I bought. I got it on Amazon. This is Thierry Mugler's Pure Tonka. So I'm going to go over 5 bottles at the beginning of the video here that I got recommended from Jeremy Fragrance. He was kind of the first figure that YouTube threw at me when I was trying to get recommendations for what perfumes to buy. I looked it up on Amazon. This is where I got this one from. I think I paid right around like $80 some for this one. And looks like I started my journey in 2019. I thought it was 2018, but I bought this late November, I think November 21st, 2019. So tail end of 2019, so kind of like almost the beginning of 2020. So my journey's been going on for right around 3.5 years, I want to say. But yeah, so this was my first purchase. I was looking for like a good wintertime cologne. I saw that this one might have had like a coffee note. I was kind of interested in coffee. Not really like a coffee fragrance, but kind of like just a really nice, sweet, gourmandy fragrance. Unfortunately discontinued now. But yeah, this was, I think, made a top 10 list for Jeremy's recommendations for top winter. Yeah, it's got this really nice kind of syrupy Mugler DNA, if you're familiar with that. I think like some chocolatey nuances. Smells kind of like a sugar cookie a little bit also. Really beautiful fragrance. Really shame that they discontinued all of the fragrance, or most of the fragrances in this bottle design from the Mugler line. I got about halfway through this one and then started conserving the juice levels on it because it was discontinued. But yeah, this was my foot in the door in fragrance. So that was my first pickup that I got off of Amazon, off of Jeremy's recommendation. And then following up with Jeremy, this was another one that he was kind of hyping. He said it was like his favorite fragrance at the time that I was watching him. And this is La Nuit de l'Homme. So this juice seems to have macerated somewhat. The color's gotten a lot darker. When I first bought this, it kind of looked like water. I haven't worn this in a little while, so I don't know if the longevity's improved or the potency of the juice has. I know that they say that the vintage formulations of this are a lot better, but really nice cardamom lavender fragrance. It's definitely, despite like longevity or projection issues, that the scent profile, the DNA is really stunning. Definitely a masterpiece. Even if they have watered it down, I can see why this would have been one of his favorite fragrances. I think at the time he was calling it Sex in a Bottle, and I could see it being a sensual fragrance in that way. I think cardamom is kind of one of those fragrance notes that hits on a lot of points by being fresh and sweet at the same time. I think Justin Copeland recently did a video highlighting the note of cardamom. So it makes sense why this fragrance would have been a heavy hitter for Jeremy at the time. I think a lot of the flankers for this fragrance are a little bit more popular than the original now. I don't own any of the flankers other than Blue Electrique, which also has become really difficult to find. But yeah, this one, I don't think this was necessarily my second fragrance, but it was part of these first 5 here that I'm going to go over that Jeremy recommended to me. Definitely worth checking out just because it is somewhat of like an iconic fragrance. It's like one of those DNAs that you want to get your nose on because there's going to be some a lot of stuff in the market that sort of is inspired by this or comes out of this, so it's good to kind of get a base level understanding of this DNA, I would say. So that was one of my other first fragrances. This one, Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum, was also a recommendation from Jeremy. This is my second bottle of this fragrance. Mostly been able to go through so much of this because it was like one of the first 5 fragrances that I ever got. I think I got this off of Amazon for right around $40 at the time when Guerlain was still really affordable, which I guess was only in like 2019. But yeah, I think this was in one of Jeremy's like first panty dropper videos when he kind of started that trend of videos with that title. I think those are kind of foolish in some sense, or like very gimmicky or clickbaity titles of videos, but I think this, if there was a fragrance that kind of fit into that category, this one is, you know, a runner up in that vein. It's definitely, yeah, one that I do wear a lot still, more so I think than any other fragrance in this top, or in this 10 that I'm going to be going over, maybe except for one Dior. But yeah, cherry, leather, incense, almond fragrance. Definitely, I think Jeremy, when he was recommending this, said it was like a unique fragrance, like if you wanted to smell different, and that kind of like appealed to me at the time. Like the type of character he was describing that would have been wearing this just you know, spoke to me in some sense, and I have been wearing this ever since. So definitely one of my top recommendations from Jeremy was L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. And then let's see here, another one that Jeremy recommended to me, and one that I wore for my wedding day. This is Aqua Joe Profumo. I think this was probably just like in one of his top 10 of all time videos, with good reason. Definitely just like super versatile, probably the most versatile of the Aqua Joes, just because it's got a incense note in here that makes it really a lot more palpable in the cold weather as compared to the other more freshy versions of this DNA. Haven't worn this one in a while just because we're coming right out of winter time, and I was kind of reaching more for the Profondo flanker last summer, but looking forward to wearing this one more in the upcoming season. Also, I heard there was rumors of discontinuation, so I was kind of trying to conserve on the juice here, but I think this is still available as of right now, so definitely really glad to have this one in my collection. That's Aqua Joe Profumo. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like there was 6 recommendations from Jeremy. This one was one that was kind of a blind buy fail. I might give this one some more chances going forward, but this is from Olivier Cresp's house, and this is the house of Acro, and this is Haze. So this fragrance I got because I was excited to have like a cannabis fragrance. However, this doesn't really have like a cannabis accord at all. It's really more of like a weird kind of humid, spicy mojito fragrance. I think absinthe is one of the main accords that's going on in here, and it just has this really, it just feels like a humid summer day that's kind of sweaty with like some spices going on. Let me just spray it in the air once here to get a reminder of it. Yeah, it's kind of this weird BO smell is how it comes off to me. Not like a bad BO, but just kind of like this weird fruity spicy BO. As you can see, the juice level is really high for being something that I've got at the beginning of my fragrance journey. Haven't really worn it a lot. I might try to give it some more opportunities. I think it would be Summer Nights is where this is going to be the best, put best to use, but yeah, unfortunately, just this one was one of the very few fragrances that I didn't really click with. Haven't tried anything else from this house. I heard that they've got a coffee fragrance, I think called Awake, that is really good, but this one, unfortunately for me, was a dud. And then the last fragrance, I guess the 6th fragrance from Jeremy that he recommended me, was Terry Mugler's Pure Malt. Again, really glad to have this one in my collection. Like Pure Tonka, been discontinued, so I've been trying to save on the juice level. I'm about halfway down on this one. Prices have really shot up on it. You know, it's really hard to find anymore, and bottles are going for dumb prices. you know, I think I did actually last summer saw this go pop up on Aura Fragrance for like 99 and some change. So maybe add yourself to the mailing list on this one for their website if it does happen to pop back up. But yeah, really iconic fragrance. I'm actually not going to spray it just because I am trying to save the juice level, but it's this really nice, malty, fruity, sort of boozy, sweet fragrance. Just really, really fun fragrance. Have some good scent memories tied to this one. It was one that I was wearing a lot when me and my wife were like first dating, and she would, you know, spray this on her pillow before I would like leave when we were not living together, just to keep herself reminding, to remind herself of me, to keep it feeling like I was still there. So yeah, this was just a beautiful wintertime fragrance. Really glad that I got recommended this one from Jeremy also, and that is Thierry Mugler's Pure Malt. And then finally, so I started kind of branching out in the YouTube space and was finding some other influencers and reviewers at the time, and buying some fragrances off their recommendation. The next kind of person I was taking, you know, recommendations from was Justin Copeland. So perhaps no surprise if you're familiar with his work or have been following him for a long time, since he's kind of moved on from the designer and cheapy realm and is really more doing niche fragrances, as most of the like YouTubers that have kind of become big, I feel like they mostly focus on niche fragrances anymore. But John Varvatos Vintage was one that he recommended, and I was really happy to have this one. I think, you know, despite John Varvatos' poor longevity, Rodrigo's Forest Rue, which is their perfumer, just does an amazing job. This is a really awesome, unique kind of barbershop-y fragrance that has like a rhubarb note. It's kind of dark, leathery. I think there might be some tobacco in here. Balsam fir is like another like key player. I've done a full review on this one. It kind of reminds me of like a Bad Santa fragrance in some sense, like kind of an edgy Santa Claus fragrance, because it's got some elements of like Burberry London. Like I feel like I'd be grabbing this fragrance in some of the same occasions that I would grab Burberry London in, but this one's kind of just a little bit more grown up and yeah, like edgy. So definitely, I would say check this one out just because it is still available for a really cheap price. You get the 125 mLs. You know, maybe check out my full review on this one. But yeah, thank you, Justin Copeland, for recommending me this at the onset of my journey here. And then the other fragrance that he recommended to me was another cheapie at the time. Back when you were able to get these fragrances for like $40, this is Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Cologne. Another unfortunately discontinued fragrance, but just beautiful almond citrus is the best way to describe this one. It's strangely like a summer gourmand in some sense. Again, somewhat about halfway through, trying to conserve on the juice level with this one. Wear it sparingly these days. Although I don't think it's that expensive to pick these up. I think you can probably find these bottles on discount, or not discounters, but like eBay and Mercari for like $100, which is not that much more expensive than the other Guerlains in this line right now. But yeah, just incredible citrus, really big compliment getter. A delight to wear in the spring and summer. I've not tried Guerlain, or not Guerlain, Chanel Edition Blanche. That might be kind of like in the same ballpark as this one, just kind of like a creamy citrus. Looking forward to maybe picking that Chanel fragrance up this upcoming summer. But this is just a gem. Really worth maybe like finding a 50 ml or something like that. If you're into this line, I think this entire Guerlain line is worth seeking out and like owning and collecting. Just because like at least the older bottles were really like a nice collector item. They had like these different sort of design patterns on them, and just like looked really cool having the full set. So that was you know, one of my top picks from Justin Copeland. And then next was Max Forte, was sort of like the next big YouTuber that I was watching his videos for, and I think by the time I had reached him, I was all the way back around to the fall time. So I started in November with Jeremy, and then maybe went through you know, some summer and spring and summertime days with Justin Copeland and some more of Jeremy fragrance. I think I picked up like these 3 or 4 fragrances in the warm weather season, then came back around to the fall of 2020, and Max Forti would have been somebody that I was taking recommendations from, and Dior Fahrenheit Parfum was one that he recommended to me. Really awesome. This is another one other than the Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum that I do wear a lot still. Both of those recently made like my top 5 winter 2023 most worn favorites for that kind of environment. This one is a little bit harder to find, but not discontinued. They just removed it from the US market. But bourbon vanilla, kind of a petrol-y violet, and licorice and rum. So there's just like really awesome masculine gourmand boozy fragrance. Compliment getter, just one of my favorites to wear in cold and wet occasions. So appreciate you, Max Forti, for recommending this one to me. It's definitely one of my favorites in my collection, and cannot sing enough praises for the House of Dior. They always put out such amazing quality fragrances. And then last on this brief overview of my entire collection is this one, also Max Forti recommendation, was Pacha de Cartier Parfum. Also a boozy fragrance, balsam fir, so you get this like really nice coniferous heart in this one. And then there's like some benzoin that kind of sweetens it up and adds this like buttery, creamy vibe to it. Yeah, so just like a nice coniferous, boozy, creamy fragrance. Very barbershop style, even though I don't think there's any lavender in here. Definitely, I don't reach for this one as often just because it's more of like a dressed up, formal occasion, special event kind of pick for me in the wintertime. But it is definitely, you know, high class and quality, and worthy of those types of occasions, and just a really beautiful fragrance. That being said, you know, I have found that out of like the bigger reviewers, my tastes do harmonize very well with Justin Copeland and Max Forti. So, you know, as I continue on in this series, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fragrances in my collection that that I like, that were either recommended to me by them, or that they have featured on their channel, even though I might have picked it up for reasons other than their influence. So I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'm looking forward to continuing to share my entire collection in this series with you. And happy Friday is when I'm filming this video, so if you catch me on the day that I post it, happy Friday. Otherwise, wherever you're at in time, you know, I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.